Hello, welcome to FLCN. We are them boys that's going to present to you the Trash Player League Week 7. So that means we're going to be reviewing the Week 6 post-game matchups, and then we're going to get into the Week 7 pre-game matchups. With that being said, I just want to get into it because Week 6 was wild. Pretty much the entire league is reset, but you're going to find out as we get into it what exactly I'm talking about. So, without further ado,
It's the Trash Player League. Let's get it.
So, Shawn, how you doing, brother?
Oh, I'm doing all right, man. Just ready to talk this football shit. Ready for I actually be real with you, man. I'm ready for these bye weeks to be gone, bro. I'm ready for these bye weeks to be gone.
Well, you got a long time for that. This year, bye weeks go all the way up until week 14. So we got a good 7 weeks of straight bye weeks. So basically all the way up until playoff start, we are looking at bye weeks.
Not the business at all.
Yeah, well, but with it being longer, that means more teams. I mean, there'll be less teams in bye weeks at the same week, hopefully. But still, it kind of sucks. It depends on how you draft it.
I will say this, Mark. I'm in a fourth league now, Mark. It's gotten out of control. Fourth league that I'm in is just a best ball league. I don't know if you've ever done one of those. But yeah, it's just the point total at the end of the year.
Right.
But with that said, in that league, Mark, we just started week 5. And I shit you not, every single one of my starters is on a bye week except for one player. So I don't know how that happened, but it happened to me. They're all on bye week this week. So
sounds like you drafted terribly. That's how it happened.
I auto drafted, Mark. I don't know what happened. You know what I'm saying? BK auto drafted, and he ends up where he ends up. You know what I'm saying? And I auto draft, and now all my players is gone in 1 week. So I don't know how it works. Maybe I auto drafted wrong, Mark.
Yeah, I guess you had the wrong auto draft set up.
You know, because Reese Cup, man, her auto draft was fire.
Was it? Because we'll find out. We'll find out when we get to these power rankings.
She is second place. They got to be fired.
Or maybe the schedule's just fire.
Oh, okay. We'll talk about it.
Yeah, we definitely going to talk about it. But anyway, with that being said, man, let's get into these week 6 matchups and see how everybody did this week. All righty. As we can see here are your week 6 matchups. In I Choose Violence loses to We Not from 750. Your player got hurt defeats Labarticus Prime. Lancelot loses to FTW. Raw Dog Supreme defeats Indie Animals. Big Trust loses to Reese's Buttercup team. And I Love Cam Newton absolutely dominates Corey's championship team. So I think we're just going to start right there. We're going to start with I Love Cam Newton versus Corey's championship team. As you can see here on the screen, right to the right, it says the biggest blowout of the week is I Love Cam Newton versus Corey's championship team to the tune of 91.62. This has now knocked me and my team out of the record books of having the biggest blowout of the year. And this is now currently the biggest blowout through the tune of 91 points, almost 100-point blowout. That's crazy. So let's get into it. So I Love Cam Newton scores 171.70 to 80.08. Corey's championship team, who just came off a phenomenal victory in week 5, now basically they scored 104 points less than what they did the week before. That's just terrible. Just absolutely terrible.
You know what? I knew last week was a fluke, Mark. I knew it was. I knew it had to be. Look, I'm talking right now, but I don't want to go up against one of Corey's 180 points weeks, you know what I'm saying? So I'm not going to talk too crazy. I might have to play him again in this league because I did play against him very early. But go ahead.
All right, so let's look at it. Let's find out why exactly this happened. So if we look here, just looking on the left, every single player for I Love Cam Newton performed except for his flex position. And that's my very first point is that you can look anywhere and everybody gave him some production besides his flex position there. And on the opposite end, it's literally just about the exact opposite where everybody underperforms except for Corey's flex position. Even then, he underperforms his projections, but he is his second leading. His flex position is his second leading scorer. So right there, if your second leading scorer is only 13.70, then you're in trouble. It's a bad week. It's a really bad week. Just looking at it, Lamar Jackson only gave you 12.28 here. Lamar Jackson only had 167 passing yards. He had 2 interceptions and 1 passing TD, which is very odd given the fact that the Ravens scored 34 points in this game. And yet Lamar Jackson seemingly had very little to do with it on the scoring end. And so that's my point number 2. And point number 3 here is that even though he would have still lost this game, Corey's championship team did lose Kareem Hunt to IR this week. He just recently picked him up, and now Kareem Hunt is gone. It seems like the injury bug is now flipped because Cam Newton had the injury bug for the last 2 weeks, but now he has Dalvin Cook back. He picked up Darrell Williams, who seems to be a very clutch pickup by him because this was a person that he picked up just in week 6, and Darrell Williams gives him 23 points off of the waiver wire there. And now looking at Corey's championship team, he has Christian McCaffrey on IR, Dallas Goedert, who had COVID, and Kareem Hunt, who is now on IR as well. So this better days do not look to be ahead for Corey's championship team. There is absolutely nothing he could have done to change his fate. This was going to be an L regardless of anything he had did. And as you can see here on the opposite end, it was just a wealth of riches for I Love Cam Newton. He had Henry Ruggs on the bench with 18 points. Patrick on the bench with 13 points. So this score could have been a lot worse had he not started Zach Moss in that flex position. And like we always repeat, this game is a game of inches and it's a game of very small points. So that Zach Moss start may hurt him later, especially seeing how now so many teams are even, and at the moment it is looking like it's coming down to your point totals for your standings. All right. So, Shawn, I know that was word vomit a little bit, and it was.
You got it.
But
I mean, it's total domination, Mark. I don't know what you want me to explain. I'll tell you one thing that really does hurt, though, is he expected Christian McCaffrey was expected to be back, and at the last minute they said that he is not going to be back. Now, remember, Mark, the team refused to put him on injured reserve because they said that he was going to be back, Mark. They said, we will not put him on injured reserve. He will be back. And then this week, not only did he not come back, but they put him on injured reserve this week. So he goes from supposedly starting to being on injured reserve a day before the game happens, I believe. So that is one thing that really hurts, not just this game, but in the future games. And then, to be honest with you, I felt bad for him because I already knew going into the Ravens-Chargers game, the only hope was that the Ravens defense played like trash. They showed up and turned into be world beaters that day. But the Chargers have either the worst or the second worst run defense in the league. So yeah, I already knew it was going to be handed off to everybody day. So it was definitely one of the first times that the Ravens had a chance to give Lamar Jackson a break. And it looks like that's exactly what he did. He sat back there and kicked his feet up and just handed the ball off, Mark.
Yeah, absolutely. You are correct. So with that being said, let's move on to the next matchup in the lineup. And who do you have that you're going to present first?
You know what? You already got the cursor on there, man. Let's just go ahead and dig into that one.
Right. This, I do want to point out that this was the second highest score of the week, and Raw Dog Supreme up until this point has been scoring very low. So this was a much needed breakout game for Raw Dog Supreme.
Yes, and if anybody remembers, Raw Dog Supreme has been sitting at the very bottom of the power rankings for forever, it seems as though. So this maybe this performance brings him up out of there. We'll find out here in a little bit. But first things first, let's get into it. Man, I'm going to point out the obvious here. You have Jalen Waddle, who I took a shit on him. I did. I said a lot of bad things about this man, and guess what he does? Apparently, Tua shows up and he balls out. He gives him 29 points versus Keenan Allen's 10 points. And the reason why I wanted to point this out, Mark, is Keenan Allen has been underperforming all season long. And this is somebody that Indianapolis took early in the draft. So he wasn't taken extraordinary early, but he was taken early enough to where he should be giving you more than 10 points a week, Mark. So it seems as though that Keenan Allen pick up for him in the draft just hasn't panned out. So Jalen, when you got guys like Jalen Waddle just, completely tripling what Keenan Allen is giving you, is going to be a problem. So that was point one there. Point two, you have Derrick Henry giving you a 35-point gain here, and it gets damn near canceled out by Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor went apeshit, Mark. He went crazy this game. I think it says he has 145 yards rushing, 2 rushing touchdowns, 13 receiving yards. I believe he touched the ball like 12 times in this game, Mark, and those are the numbers that he put up. So it's ridiculous. What do you got? 14 rushing attempts, 145 yards. I mean, I don't know what to tell you, Mark. I mean, when you got a guy doing that to you, it looks like the moon and the stars aligned for Raw Dog Supreme right there, because he was able to stave off Stephon Diggs 23.9, and then, which we knew that's a possibility with DeAndre Hopkins, but Derrick Henry and Jonathan Taylor being that close, I don't think Indianapolis suspected that. So that's point number 2. And then point number 3 here, Mark. What can I say? There's 2 things in this point, Mark. There'll be point 3 and 4. I'm going 4 with this one because Claypool is somebody that you expected production out of versus Seattle defense. And he gave him 3 points. And it seemed as though they weren't really targeting him that much, but when they were, it just wasn't working out. It didn't seem like he was on the same page as Big Ben. And it seems as though Claypool playing on the outside and not in the slot, it seems as though Ben is not able to give him the ball. This was an ugly performance by Claypool. You kind of expected at least 15 to 16 points with Juju Smith-Schuster out, and you get 3. And then for point 4, Chicago defense. Look, I understand that you're from Chicago, you a Bears fan, but come on, dog. I don't know what you thought was going to happen when you started Chicago versus Green Bay. Shame on you. Shame. You know what? You deserve this loss, bro. You deserve that loss for starting Chicago defense against Green Bay. That's what I'm saying. Look, man, you do what you have to do. You root for your team, man. But you fucking up your money now. You're fucking up your money rooting for your team. Okay. Look, that's great. I do appreciate your loyalty to your team, though. It's, you're a better man than me, is what I would say.
Wow. Wow.
Better man than me, Mark.
I do want to point out here that in this trade, in these two teams that went up against each other, they were a part of the three-way trade that happened earlier this season. And as you can see here, both players that they got in the trade performed. DeAndre Hopkins gives Raw Dog Supreme the much needed help at wide receiver. He gives him 20 points there. And then Jalen Waddle came from out of nowhere with 29 points into his first actually decent performance at quarterback. And Stephon Diggs performs for Indianapolis. But the interesting thing here is that it looks like Indianapolis started Claypool the wrong week. Just last week when Claypool was on his bench, Claypool gave him 24 points on the bench. And this week where he actually starts Claypool gives him 3. So
yeah, this is the inconsistency that I expected with Big Ben at quarterback, Mark. And this is why I was quicker to trade Claypool, who seemingly has more upside than Sterling Shepard. This is why.
So you're saying you fleeced him?
I absolutely didn't fleece him. He got the player with more upside, and seemingly, Mark, this might be a fluke week. Consider he doesn't have any competition at wide receiver. It's just him, Deontay Johnson, and Najee Harris. There's only 3 people that Ben is going to throw to. This can't possibly be. This has to be the low point for Claypool, Mark. That's what I'll say. His lows are going to be a little bit lower than Sterling Shepard, but his highs are definitely going to be higher than Sterling Shepard. He got what he was looking for, Mark.
No, I'm going to just go ahead and say you fleeced him.
I ain't fleeced nobody. That was a fair trade, Mark. Don't do it. Don't do it like that.
You fleeced him.
Don't do it like that.
So let's look at the bench and see if anything could have changed their fate. And okay, going right away, looking at the bench, Nick Chubb being out, another person that was involved in the trade, that's just bad timing there. He would have gotten 15 points from Mooney, which would have added 12 points to his total. Their difference here is more than 12 points, so that would not have been enough to help him at all. So there's absolutely nothing that would have changed their fate here. But looking on the opposite side, Raw Dog Supreme did have another player that available that gave him 19 points. And it's funny because Raw Dog Supreme went from having no wide receivers to having 4 wide receivers give more than 15 points in a game.
I don't know if he's going to get that consistency every week, Mark, but it is amazing. I will say is that the timing is impeccable, man. I do kind of feel bad for Indianapolis, man. Ever since it was bet week, he just hasn't been doing all right, and everybody's just been going off against him, Mark.
You know what I'm saying? That's what happens. You know what I mean? Essentially, he was like the bully, But once I came through and knocked the bull side the head, nobody really fears the bully anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like once the bully gets knocked out once, the bully can't be the bully no more. Now he's just gonna get bopped.
Oh, come on, dog. You knocked out the bully. That's what happened. You beat up Debo. Is that what happened, Mark?
Essentially, you know what I'm saying? Like you not really Debo no more, dog. You just a bull.
All right. You know what I'm saying? That's heavy trash talk coming for you. That's great. You know what I'm saying? But I guess when you look at the standings, it's okay to talk down. I guess it's okay to talk down.
I'm not trying to talk down. I'm just talking. That's all.
No. I'm talking about standings. You're talking to somebody that's below you in the standings. That's what I mean. I'm not saying you're talking down. You are talking down, but I wasn't saying that. No.
Yeah, like nah, man. I'm just talking to the man. That's all.
That's the man. I thought he was just.
Excuse me. Excuse me. I apologize. I'm talking to the Indianapolis. I apologize.
Nope, that's not. See, Okay. I think we should move on.
All right.
You are choosing violence right now, just to throw that out there, you know.
All right. So moving on, we got Big Trust versus Reese's Buttercup team. All right. Big Trust scores 111 points, 0.98 to Reese's 112.48. This may very well be the second lowest margin of victory in the league this year. Actually, no, it might be the first. This might be the first lowest because the previous lowest was changed to a tie.
So this is the lowest from what I understand, Mark.
Yes, this may be the lowest margin of victory this year. And Big Trust is on the losing end of that. Neither one of these teams lived up to their projections here, looking at it. But the big issue that happened here was the thing that we said was going to be a thorn in Big Trust's side all season long, which was this tandem of wide receivers. They giveth and they taketh away.
I was just gonna say the same thing, Mark. Jesus, they giveth and they taketh away. Absolutely, live by the sword, die by the sword in this one, Mark.
Right. So Tom Brady only throws 2 passing touchdowns, neither of which goes to these gentlemen here, and the yards don't go to them either. Mike Evans only gives 27 yards on 2 receptions, while Chris Godwin gives 5 receptions on 43 yards. This was a completely dominant day for Tampa Bay's running back, and that's just how it went. So these wide receivers did not eat at all, and it's an interesting thing because this was what we expected them to eat because no Gronkowski, and they're going up against the Eagles, but Tampa Bay found a lot of room running apparently, and they just said, no, this is what we're going to do. We get down the goal line, we're going to run the ball, and we're going to get it successfully. So it hurts Big Trust in the end, and he loses. All right, so moving on to the next point that we have here is Reese's Buttercup team gets 29 points from Adam Thielen to 5 points from Devonta Smith. I do appreciate Tobias constantly going to this Philadelphia Eagle well of Devonta Smith, but at some point it's over. Like let's look back on it. In week 1, 19 points. Week 2, 3, 5, 19, 14, 5. So basically, he has had weeks where he's been viable, but his lows are just truly low. Like they're damning low. So you can't continue to go to a guy who's going to give you lows like that. And my last point actually has to do with looking at anything that could possibly change his fate, because when we look at the bench here, we see right away Kenyon Drake, 21 points. With his running back situation, he's pretty much playing a guessing game from week to week on what to do. And this was not the week, apparently, to start James Conner, despite him getting 71 rushing yards. But 71 rushing yards with no touchdowns equal only 8 points. And so this apparently would have been the week to start Kenyon Drake, who had 21.30 points. But like I said, it's a guessing game for him here, and he just wasn't able to do it. And on the opposite end, Reese's Buttercup team has gotten lucky that Big Trust was so inept this week because she left points on the bench. Cole Beasley with 21 points on her bench, and a player that she just recently traded for, Damian Harris, had 17.80 points to the tune of 100 yards and 1 rushing touchdown. He outperformed both of her running back selections here. So
Mark, I do believe, I just want to interject, I do believe I did say something about those her running back selections when we were previewing. Told you I didn't like those matchups. I did not like Devin Singletary. I don't like him at all. Right. And then I said something about Harris, and I just didn't like that. I definitely would have started Damian Harris over one of those two. He would have had to have been in the lineup. That is definitely a mistake on her part. Absolutely.
But she was able to come away with the W here. And so it is what it is. Big Trust has to start looking at possibly not playing Devonta Smith. But if we look at it here, it looks like if we look at the pattern here, it would look like he's due for another low-scoring game, and then you'll have two good scoring games after that. So in week 7, don't play him. Week 8 and 9, play him.
Look, man, that's too much of a pattern to keep track of, bro. If I feel like you might give me 5 points in any given moment, then I'm going to look for somebody. I'd rather look for somebody that might give me 10 points every time. But it is what it is, you know. It is what it is. He's going to play how he plays. You got to understand, too. I think he's just been stuck here at this point because of T. Higgins' injury, and I know T. Higgins is just coming back off an injury, so maybe that played into his decision making. I take it he just doesn't trust McCole Hardman. So
why would he?
That's all I'm saying. So I'm not gonna get on him too hard for Devonta Smith. He has had T. Higgins out, and if the rest of your wide receivers are playing for Tampa Bay, he doesn't really have very many options when it comes to starting Devonta Smith.
Well, except for that is the flex spot, and as we know, it's WRT for a reason.
Maybe he could have put Kenyon Drake there, but these are the decisions you got to make. Do you put in a starting receiver? Or do you put in a backup running back, Mark? I don't know, Mark. I don't know at this point.
Yeah.
Decisions. Yes.
Well, Shawn, so with that being said, there's nothing else to cover here.
One more thing. No. Okay. One more thing, Mark. Okay. I just want to point out that both of the Williamses did beat Tobias. He happened to have his worst weeks against us, Mark. It's almost as if God don't like ugly, man. God don't like ugly, man. You know what he did to you? He humbled you in week 1 when you played me, and he let you only got away with 110 points. And then look at that. You go and play Reese's Buttercup team, and you get 111 points. Maybe, Tobias, maybe you should humble yourself. Just maybe. Don't worry about it. We will play again, sir. And just know that the football gods are not happy.
Wow.
That's it. But come on, let's go.
Okay, so moving on. Shawn, who do we have next?
Okay, so it looks like it will be, your player got hurt versus Lombardicus Prime. Or did we do that one? No, we didn't. Okay, yeah, that's exactly the one we're looking at here. Your player got hurt 140.44 points versus 120 points that Lombardicus Prime put up here. I just want to state in the beginning, what a fortunate week for Lombardicus Prime to take his second loss of the season. Just so happens to be the same week that positions 2 through 6 also fall and take a loss. Very fortunate of Lombardicus Prime, but we're going to get into this. So this was projected to be a very close game, Mark. It turned out to be somewhat close compared to some of the blowouts we've seen this week. But very first thing that jumps out is Justin Herbert not giving you a performance that you would expect against Baltimore's defense that has been giving it up to everybody. They just gave it up to Carson Wentz. They just gave it up to Carson Wentz, Mark. I know I was expecting a big performance from Herbert, and I know that Lombardicus Prime was. You get 12 points versus Joe Burrow's 27. That is the first order of business right there. You just got let down by your player. And then for my second point, you're going to look at here, these wide receivers, you get a 36 point performance from CeeDee Lamb, and that's great, but it is completely for naught because you have Tyler Lockett who gives you 5, Kadarius Toney, because I said wide receivers, Kadarius Toney in the flex gives you 6 because he falls to an injury. Mm-hmm. He gets injured during the game. Those two things right there definitely put a damper on things. We didn't know what Tyler Lockett was going to do with Geno Smith at quarterback, and now we see what happens. So there really is nothing there. Very unfortunate for him. For my third and final point here is Austin Eckler, along with Justin Herbert. They both have their down weeks the same week. This is one of those things that you talked about, having the quarterback and the running back. It allows you to have a situation to where, hey, if the quarterback's not getting the points, it's going to the running back and vice versa. And that way you still end up getting your points. Well, when the team scores 6, Mark, then it doesn't matter. So therefore, the unforeseen bad game for the LA Chargers, it just seemed to completely knocked Lombardi's Prime out of this game. It's amazing that he only lost by 20 points, considering the performances he got from Austin Eckler, Tyler Lockett, Justin Herbert, and Kadarius Toney. So that's really it, man. That's 3 quick points. But shout out to your player got hurt. He got a great quarterback performance. Najee Harris put up some points for him there. And it looked like he has finally filled out the box scores here, Mark, with every position minus Denver defense.
Yes, it does look like your player got hurt has found his quarterback in Joe Burrow. He acquired Joe Burrow through a trade with Reese's Buttercup team. He traded away Damian Harris for Joe Burrow. There was another player that he traded to Reese's Buttercup team, but Damian Harris was the important one.
Was it Ramondre Stevenson, or does
maybe
Ramondre? I can't remember.
Okay, but let's look at the bench and see if anything could have changed their fate.
Okay, no, he has Ramondre. I don't know. Who knows who he traded away, but.
And no, nothing at all would have changed the fates here. In this matchup, as you can see, Lombardi's Prime had a gang of buys, and there was absolutely nothing that he would have gotten from his bench. And he's carrying 3 people that are currently on IR. Meanwhile, on the other side, he did have Collins, who gave him 16 points on the bench, and Ramondre Stevenson, who gave him 15 points on his bench. So he has a little slew of running backs that could help him in the future.
Yeah, what I will say is this: it looks like this might be the first team to fall to the bye week blues here, Mark. You have 2 of his top scorers, well, definitely one of his top scorers in Deebo Samuel missing time, and then you have Mitchell also missing time. Those are big time players for this team, especially considering Clyde Edwards-Hilaire's injury. So to have both of those guys not in the lineup this week, it looks like it definitely hurt, because I would like to believe that if Deebo Samuel and Mitchell were playing, that he would get a different outcome for this game.
Yeah. So, moving on to the last team that I'm going to cover, and that is Team Lancelot versus FTW. All right. This is a matchup in which Team Lancelot actually outscores his projections, but still loses. He outscores his projections by 2 points, but still takes the loss to FTW, who outscores his projections by 22. FTW scores 149.44 to Lancelot's 133.22. Let's look at it here. Both quarterbacks perform admirably to the tune of 33, and Matthew Stafford gives FTW 32. So the usual advantage where Lancelot has at quarterback, he did not have it here this week. Essentially, this loss, if you look at it, it comes down to people that he usually can depend on. Usually, Lancelot can depend on Mike Williams to give him points. But this week, the entire LA Chargers shat the bed, and you can see it in their fantasy totals. And Mike Williams, he was no exception to that rule. He only scored 4 points here. And looking at it, Chase Edmonds only gives him 8. Meanwhile, you just have an up and down performance from FTW, except for Michael Pittman. So, let's just look at the bench now and see if anything could have changed Lancelot's fate. And yes, it could have. Josh, what I'm just curious this year, and this is a little bit of a rhetorical question, but why is it that people trade for players and then don't play them? It's interesting to me. Josh Jacobs being a player that Lancelot has traded for, he gives him 15 points here, but it's on his bench. And
well, it may be, Mark. It's because I'm starting 2 other players that I traded for. Chase Edmonds is in there, and so is Courtland Sutton. That's why. So he wasn't going to be in my flex because I traded for Courtland Sutton. That's why he's in the game. And Chase Edmonds is there, clearly starting. So,
hey man,
I did not trade for him to start him over Hubbard. No.
Hey man, no need to explain yourself. Like I said, it was rhetorical. Just a question.
Oh, I know what you're doing. Continue.
Oh, you know what I'm doing. Okay.
Yeah, I know what you're doing. Go ahead.
All right. Anyway, moving right along, Sterling Shepard has 17 points on his bench. Another player that could have possibly helped this score here look a little bit better. But am I starting Sterling Shepard over Mike Williams? Absolutely not. There's not a world in which that is happening. So I get it. It is what it is. But on the other side here, AJ Brown could have did something, but there's not a position. I guess you would I start AJ Brown over Michael Pittman? Maybe. I don't know. Like that's a choice thing, I guess. Like it's up in the air. But Michael,
I'll say knowing that there was no. See, that's a weird one, man. That's like kind of a toss-up. You got Michael Pittman versus Houston, and then you have AJ Brown versus the Chargers, right?
No, versus Buffalo.
Versus Buffalo. My bad. Why did I say versus Chargers? Versus Buffalo.
Because you're thinking about Mike Williams letting you down.
Hey, look, man, I'm really upset about it. I don't want to talk about it no more. But with that said, yeah, it's a good start to start Michael Pittman. I mean, really, AJ Brown versus Buffalo, who has one of the best defenses in the league. You're not even expecting them to pass the ball like that. You don't know what you're going to get from him. But I will note, in a week where Julio Jones was not going to be present, Mark, maybe you could have said he would have seen some volume, especially knowing that Buffalo was going to score. But to be honest with you, seeing Michael Pittman versus Houston would have had me trying to put Michael Pittman in my lineup as well. So I don't know. I can't fault him.
No, it's very hard to fault him given the circumstances, but it is what it is. There was nothing on the bench that could have changed the fates here. I mean, it's something for Shawn Williams, but would I have done it? Would I have pulled the trigger on it? Probably not. So I can't fault him.
Yeah, but you know what? I will say this. This is one of those losses, Mark, where the draft strategy, boom or bust, and I'm not expecting too many weeks of bust, but here it is. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
Mike Williams with 4.
Well, I mean, you've had at least 3 weeks of bust, right? So,
see, there you go. Here we go. I wouldn't even say that. Like, this is one of my highest point totals of the year, and I lost, man. I don't even know what to do, man. It is what it is. I've had enough weeks of bust from certain players. I feel like every week somebody lets me down, but I still managed to get 3 wins out of it. So I don't know.
Yeah. Well, let's look at it here. We have one more team to cover, and Shawn, I believe you have the floor.
Yep, go ahead. I choose Violence versus We Not From 750. I choose Violence versus We Not No Punk Ass Bitches. Excuse me, We Not From 750. We got 121.86 to 155.2 from We Not From 750. I choose Violence. Seemed to have a down week this week. Let's take a look at what happened here. Okay. First thing that jumps off the screen, we have Knox. We have Knox versus Noah Fant here. And somehow Noah Fant gets 24 points. He ain't got 24 points all year. He ain't even sniffed 24 points all year. No, I already know he hasn't. He's got 12, 13, 16. I just know he's never been there before. So he gets his best week of the season. And also Knox seems to have a very strange down week, but I do know that Tennessee does fairly well against tight ends, but I still didn't expect Knox to only give him 7 points. So right there, that 17-point disparity is already a problem. Then for point 2, you look a little bit further down there, you have Leonard Fournette. Leonard Fournette, Mark. You see this? You know what we call this, Mark? We call this poetic justice. You know what I'm saying? You see that? You've been begging him. You've been begging him to just quit Leonard Fournette. You've been talking so bad about Leonard Fournette. I think Leonard Fournette figured it. He found out about it. Somebody passed word. Rodney used his connections in Tampa Bay, his connections to the team, and he put a bug in Leonard Fournette's ear and said, yo, I got to shut this guy up. All right. Leonard Fournette shows up and drops 30 on you, Mark. I know this shit has to be stinging your soul right now, Mark. I know it does.
You know what's funny? It doesn't. You want to know why it doesn't?
Why? Tell me why, Mark.
You see that there? Like, you see that there?
You can. That's great. You show me the green.
I had time to prepare myself for this eventuality. Like, some people say I was laughing through this pick because I felt as though I was going to win. No, nigga, I was laughing through the pain. I knew what was happening. I knew what was coming. I knew what was coming. I felt it. And so it's only right. You have to laugh when Leonard Fournette, the guy you've been talking about, letting this guy down, comes through so clutch to be his highest scorer of the week. And not only is he his highest scorer, but he is his highest scorer against my team, my personal favorite team. That's the team he gets the points on. So, like, he defeated me twice. And it's just like, well, dang, you see it coming sometimes, man.
Look, you can say all that. You can show me
coming, but you can't duck.
You can show me the green check in the corner. You can say all that. That was beautiful, Mark. That was beautiful. What you can't convince me of, though, is that you saw Leonard Fournette scoring 30 points on you.
Oh, no.
You did not see it happening in this manner of fashion. Maybe you thought that Leonard Fournette has an okay-ish game against you. You did not see 30 points, bro. I know you did it. But in typical fashion, I'll just say this. For my third point, Mark, I'm going to point this out to you because you already probably seen it. Outside of you completely winning the wide receiver battle, what happens, Mark? You have another week with Kyler Murray giving you points, giving you a high total, and you lose. It's just you just have to know that if Kyler Murray scores, you're gonna lose somehow, Mark. At this point, it's just part of the game. So I'm sure you were already aware of that. You're probably sure you already noticed it, but I just wanted to point it out again.
Well, here's the thing. I noticed it, and interestingly enough, because I'm here to answer for certain things, another thing that I noticed is that Davante Adams has been essentially every other week all season. Let's look at it here. Outside of week 2 and 3, it's been every other week. He goes 1 and then 20, 31, then 12, 37, then 12. Like outside of week 3, that was the only time that he did anything that was a back-to-back good performance. So I kind of felt as though I was looking to see if he was going to do that pattern again or not. And he did go back into the pattern of, nah, not this week. But I am looking forward to Davante Adams having a blow-up week this weekend, given the fact that we see what the pattern has been so far. And big deal here was Knox. You didn't bring it up, but Knox and Gibson both were injured. So it's a massive deal as to why the point totals ended this way. And the last thing I want to mention is that DJ Moore is a fucking sucker, dog. Like,
whoa, why you gotta do that? Why you gotta be a sucker?
Listen, I understand Sam Darnold was not good. I understand Sam Darnold was trash this day. But 13 fucking targets, 13, and you only come down with 5. Not like bad quarterback or not, that's kind of unacceptable, bro. I'm not with it. I'm not with it. And it was on my birthday. It was on my day. Like, you know what I'm saying? My day, and I couldn't enjoy a victory. I get it.
Like I couldn't help but notice, Mark, that it says he had a couple of receptions, and he had 5 receptions, 73. Yeah, the fumble loss. He even fumbled the ball, Mark, yes, just to lower the total just a little bit more for you.
Yes.
Yeah, it is what it is, man. Look, the man can't be perfect every week, Mark. Can that man have a down week?
Yeah, everybody can have a down week, I guess, except for, look at that.
He said, okay, he had 2 down weeks. He had a down week against your team. You got to be happy about that, right? If he's going to have a back-to-back down week, one of those weeks got to be against your actual team.
Listen,
I'm just saying, I'm here to defend DJ Moore.
Okay. Listen, nah, man, this dude going to be running laps. Trust me. But yeah, let's look at the bench and see if anything could have changed the fate here. No, we could have started JD McKissick and it would have made the score look more respectable, but nothing would have changed the actual outcome of this game. So it is what it is. And like I said, wouldn't start JD McKissick in this situation because Antonio Gibson at the time was considered healthy enough to play. He got hurt. He hurt himself more mid-game because he has been dealing with shin issues. So that is it for our week 6 post-game matchup analysis. So Shawn, you have anything to say before we get out of this post-game crap?
I got nothing. Oh, I do have one thing, Mark. I said it to Tobias, and now I got to say it to you, Mark. God don't like ugly, man. God don't like ugly. Poetic justice was served up. Let's continue now. I just had to point it out there. Maybe you should humble yourself, Mark.
Hey, listen, man. I have been humbled. And what's funny is I was so humbled that I didn't pick myself to win. I just knew what it was. So I don't know what you're talking about.
I think the what I'm looking for is keep Leonard Fournette's name out your mouth. That's what it looks like.
Oh, keep Leonard Fournette. I would like to point out that you would have lost to Leonard Fournette as well had somebody showed up and actually started an actual viable player. This time, leave it to we not from 750 to all of a sudden set an alarm against me. I shouldn't have gave him the advice because he remembered to remove Devontae Parker from his lineup this week, but last week he forgot.
Look, the gods have been kind to me this year. They've been unkind to certain people this year, and it's just it seems to be a pattern, something about a trash talking pattern. I don't know.
Okay, right. So I guess I should talk more trash like you do. All right.
Oh man, I'm just a humble guy, Mark.
Understood. I should talk more trash.
I humbly take my dubs.
I should talk more trash. Understood. All righty. Looking at this, we're looking at the picks from this week. Actually, I'm moving up a little bit because I got quite a few right. In week 6, I was 3 for 3. It looks like in my picks. So Ricky was 4 for 2 for his week 6 picks, and Shawn did not make his picks.
Nope, I have not been on the computer, bro. They definitely Yahoo. So I'll make a suggestion. Y'all need to make it available through the app. That's what you need to do.
Yeah, it's pretty bad, bro. Pretty bad. But anyway, I do believe that in the pick category, I did come out on top this week. I do not know how much closer that brings me, but I do believe I came out on top. I'm just not sure of the actual number. And I want to show the standings where we are now before we get into this week's matchups. The current standings for the league shows Labarticus Prime still in first place because he has 4 wins and 2 losses. BC's Buttercup team is in second place only because she has a tie, which is disgusting. Like a tie is like committing incest. It's terrible. Like
as well, I will say this, man. I don't know a more fortunate pair of 1 and 2s in fantasy football right now. It's really amazing how they're able to get away with murder in this league, Mark.
Yeah. And very quickly, I'm not going to go all the way down this list. I just want to point out that we do have 9 teams that are in 3-3 territory, and the only thing separating them is the points for each one of these teams. So this is what I was referring to when I said essentially we have a reset in the league, because now it seems like everybody is starting from zeros once again, except for We Not From 750, who is still quite a ways in the hole here.
You're definitely out of reach down there.
Yeah, so We Not From 750 only has the 1 win and the 1 tie, but so he still has some ground to make up in this area. But everybody else, you're right there. You're right there. So it's a reset. Anything that happened up until this point kind of doesn't matter anymore. All right, so now let's get into these week 7 matchups. And now that you understand the gravity of the situation for just about every team here. So I Choose Violence goes up against Big Trust. And I Choose Violence is set to score 136.28 to Big Trust's 137.17. This seems to be a very close matchup. Kyler Murray is going up against Houston. That's lovely. So you got to look forward to that. Tom Brady is going up against Chicago. Devontae Adams is going up against Washington. Gotta like that as well. I Choose Violence regains Cordero Patterson, who's going up against Miami. Another tasty matchup. Aaron Jones against Washington is a tasty matchup as well. Tyler Higbee going up against Detroit. It has potential. I wouldn't call it tasty because it's very wishy-washy on what Tyler Higbee's involvement in the offense actually is from week to week. And yeah, is there anything that stands out to you, Shawn?
Anything that stands out. I do like a couple of things over here with Big Trust. I like the matchup with Mark Andrews versus Cincinnati Bengals. I believe this is going to be a game where Lamar Jackson is going to have to throw the ball. He's gonna have to. The Bengals have been playing exceptional this year. Compared to what some people may have thought they were going to be coming into the season. And their defense has actually been pretty decent. So, yes, I believe that is going to be a big game for Mark Andrews once again because Lamar Jackson will be throwing the ball. Outside of that, I don't know if there's too many nice matchups here, but I will say I expect the triplets over here for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to produce a little bit more points than they did last week versus the Chicago Bears. Huh?
But they're going up against a tougher defense, though.
It is a tougher defense, but I feel like Tom Brady is going to make it a point. And if Tom Brady decides to make it a point to throw for touchdowns, I mean, Tom Brady had 294 yards passing last week. That's right around where he's been. Yeah. That's kind of right around where he's been all year. He just been throwing for 5 touchdowns with 260 yards passing, So I just feel like he's going to get back to trying to get touchdowns thrown. So, I mean, a couple more touchdowns would be the difference maker in this scenario. So, but all in all, I'll be honest, man. I really like the matchups over here with I Choose Violence. I'm picking I Choose Violence to win. I am actually on the computer right now clicking the button. So,
all right,
I have I Choose Violence in this matchup. The matchups are just way better than what's happening over here on the other side.
Yes, I'm like I don't like picking myself in a lot of cases, especially when I see certain matchups, but in this situation, it just looks a lot better matchup wise for I Choose Violence. So hopefully we can actually make that into a thing here.
And for the record, I do not think it's going to be a blowout victory. I do not think it's going to be that.
Nah, I would agree. Moving on to the next matchup, you have a rivalry game of sorts. There has been a back and forth of words over some things that you say here on FLCN. And so you have your player got hurt versus Team Lancelot here. Your player got hurt is a major underdog this week, and largely because his bye weeks. He loses Najee Harris, Amari Cooper, and Deontay Johnson. That is the biggest takeaway in this entire situation. Although you lose Josh Allen and Mike Williams, you do have Matt Ryan, who's going up against Miami this week. And if we look at Matt Ryan's scores,
he's quietly been improving.
Yes, he's been quietly improving. So, week 2 and 3 were mediocre at best, but week 4 and 5 has been pretty good, and then he has week 6, and now he's going up against a really good matchup in Miami. So I would take that there.
So the most beautiful thing, it's kind of a beautiful, ugly situation here because I have Mike Davis. They have completely abandoned trying to run the ball on the goal line, and they are using Cordero Patterson more in those situations as far as passing for the touchdowns. They're like, look, man, we're going to get down there. We're just going to throw it. And it has upped Matt Ryan's numbers. So I do like him versus Miami. And if Miami is going to be capable of putting up points with Tua at quarterback, then it makes it an even better matchup. Also, I'd like to add that your player got hurt also has Emmanuel Sanders on a bye week. It might not seem like much, but Emmanuel Sanders has quietly been producing. He's been doing his best Brandon Cooks impersonation, man. And I'll be honest, man. It's going to hurt him. He's been playing him, and this is going to hurt him this week as well. So, once again, the football gods, Mark, they're parting the clouds, and they're just sprinkling a little sunshine on me right here. Now, if I lose this, I absolutely deserve it, Mark. I deserve every bit of it if I lose this matchup. There's no reason why I should lose this matchup, but something tells me that this game is going to be closer than it should be. But with all that said, I'm picking myself to win, Mark. This is a no-brainer for me. I'm picking myself here.
Yeah, with the amount of buys that your player got hurt, it's no disrespect to him or his team, but yeah, Team Lancelot, you have to pick it. Like, he's losing his best players, his highest producers so far this season in 1 week. So, I mean, that's bad for this week, but going forward, that means a hell of a lot. That means he's through the rough part after this week. So if he does manage to beat you this week, he's sitting pretty as far as bye weeks go from this point forward. But anyway, moving on. Raw Dog Supreme versus Reese's Buttercup team. Now, in this matchup, Carson Wentz, that's a sometimes play. Jalen Waddle sometimes. Hopkins, I like it. Taylor, cool. Kyle Pitts. I'm actually really curious after what happened last week with Calvin Ridley being out and Kyle Pitts being able to break out a bit. I'm actually curious as to what will that look like going forward now that Matt Ryan has seen Kyle Pitts actually produce when called upon more often. So,
I'm curious because I would like to see him being used the way that they used to use Julio Jones. Like, hey, it don't have to be a big play every time. Look, we're just going to give it to you because you're a sure-handed receiver and you can get open. That's the way they should have been using him from the beginning. I feel like there's a possibility, but we will see now that Calvin Ridley is back. If they're gonna do it, this has to be the matchup. Calvin Ridley is going to be drawing attention from the only defensive back that's worth anything on Miami. Can't remember his name right now. Xavier, what's his name? Don't matter. But they only got one guy that could cover somebody. So this should be the Kyle Pitts week. If he can't do it this week, then I don't even know what to expect from him. So, but yeah, this whole matchup here. Mark, were you done?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this whole matchup here. Once again, we have Nyheim Hines. I see Damian Harris in the lineup this week. Zach Ertz, I think there's going to be a little bit of disappointment with Zach Ertz here in the lineup. I mean, really, that might be the make or break here is the tight end positions. But, DK Metcalf, don't know what he's going to do with Geno Smith at quarterback. So with that said, it's really going to be, man, it might be a Patrick Mahomes or bust week, and Patrick Mahomes has Tennessee, Mark.
What? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so
I forgot that she had DK. I was like, what?
Yeah, so I don't know, man. I don't like what Reese's Buttercup team has going on here, but I will say I don't think things are strong enough on the opposite side for me. So I don't know, man. This is kind of a toss-up, but I'm not gonna lie. I'm just going to go for the person who I want to win. I want Raw Dog Supreme to win, so I'm going to pick him, Mark. I'm really tired of seeing Reese's Buttercup magically win games every week. I'm just going to root against her. I bet for her a bunch of times because I just like her luck just ain't going to run out. But F that, Mark. I feel like I'm aiding and abetting. I feel like I'm being an enabler, so I'm going to cut that out. I don't need to enable her on this. I need her to catch some more L's, Mark. Her sitting in second place does not sit right with me.
Wow. All right, man. Listen, I do believe Patrick Mahomes will return to being the great equalizer at some point, and maybe it will be this week. Tennessee is riding high after that performance that they just had against Buffalo. So I think this is probably a week in which they get punched in the mouth by a team that they did not expect them to punch them in the mouth. And now that Kansas City is actually utilizing their running backs a little bit more, we'll see what happens. I just think that Kansas City should start rounding into somewhat of a form here soon. Probably, if it's not this week, I would say by week 10 they will. But with that being said, I'm going to pick Reese's Buttercup team. Largely because DK needs to redeem himself. If Terry's healthy, then yeah, I'm gonna pick her. I don't really like what's going on in Raw Dog side outside of Jonathan Taylor and DeAndre Hopkins. That's essentially what it comes down to. I don't like what's going on Raw Dog side outside of DeAndre Hopkins and Jonathan Taylor. Kyle Pitts has potential, but I just don't know which way that's going to go. So, and when I'm looking at Patrick Mahomes, knowing that he could give 40, I got to go. I got to do it.
Enabler. That's fine, though. Let's go.
Okay, Lombardicus Prime. I love Cam Newton. All right, so right here, let's just look at the bench first this time and see what's going on in the bye weeks. So, no CeeDee Lamb, no Justin Herbert, no Austin Eckler, no Dalvin Cook, no Dak Prescott. Both teams are hurting when it comes to their running back and quarterback, which is very interesting. But Lombardicus is also missing CeeDee Lamb and Dallas defense. This is the thing that we talked about when he drafted this team, that he's like, all them Dallas players, it's going to be rough when their bye week comes along. Well, here it is. CeeDee Lamb is gone. His defense is gone. Justin Herbert, Austin Eckler. He has New England's defense going up against the Jets. That should be a suitable replacement. Should be. We don't know, though. But on the opposite end, you have the Rams going up against Detroit. That is nasty. The Rams may very well get 25 this week. So
Goff is bad. Goff is bad. That's what I will say. And it doesn't help that he ain't got no receivers on him. So
yeah. But I mean, we knew that though.
Well, and I just want to mention the Rams defense is coming off of a 3 interception performance that they put on Daniel Jones last week. So like it very well could be a repeat.
I will say this. I look for Odell may actually do something because Baker Mayfield isn't throwing to him. Case Keenum is.
Look, so, I've seen a lot of people trying to poo-poo Case Keenum. Something tells me that Case Keenum is going to come in this game and he's going to outperform anything that we've seen from Baker Mayfield, Mark. I really like Case Keenum. This might be a shocker. What I don't like, though, is Case Keenum coming into the start without having his running backs. But once again, that's even more reason why Odell Beckham might have a big game.
Exactly. So I'm picking I love Cam Newton. It's not even – this matchup doesn't even feel close to me.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. If you're going to have a bunch of bye weeks, have them all in 1 week. I'd rather just get the L over with and just move on, Mark. And
it's just kind of lucky that his opponent has a bunch of bye weeks as well.
Yes, but I do still like what's going on over here with I love Cam Newton's matchups. I don't think it's a big gap. You got Sony Michel here. You know, Damian Williams, I don't know if he's going to do the same thing. My bad, Darrell Williams. I don't know if he's going to do the same thing as he did last week. Those 2 touchdowns really helped him. I mean, it's going to be a close game, believe it or not. But I do think that just Cooper Kupp, the tasty matchup of Cooper Kupp versus Detroit defense and Los Angeles defense versus Detroit, I have to go with I love Cam Newton on this, so I'm picking him.
Nope. All right, so now we are in We Not from 750 versus FTW. Will Rodney get his second victory of the week? Aaron Rodgers against Washington should be good. Robert Woods against Detroit. Whether or not Robert Woods is going to be a part of the offense this week, that's up and down. Allen Robinson against Tampa Bay. Allen Robinson, just with his quarterbacks this year, he's been a non-factor. Like, they just got to get rid of their coach, man. That's just what it is.
So sick of Matt Nagy, bro. Like, I can't imagine what it feels like to be a Bears fan. I can't.
Yeah.
You know what? Maybe I'll take a week off of complaining about Kyle Shanahan. Maybe I'll do that, Mark.
Is Gronk going to actually play? Let's find out.
He's questionable, Mark. Right now, it's looking like there's a chance. Looking like there's a chance. So.
His odds of playing in week 7 are headed in the wrong direction.
Well, never mind.
So we will see. But it doesn't look good. No Tony Pollard, no Zeke. That's not good. He did pick up AJ Green this week. We'll see if he actually utilizes that or not. No Marvin Jones. Yeah, so he does start A.J. Brown this week. Brandon Cooks is starting. Matthew Stafford against Detroit is great. His running back situation is really good here. Yeah, FTW. Is really no need to labor the point. It's just FTW for me.
Okay, I see that. I'm going to look at this Devontae Booker situation. I don't know why they have him projected to get 1 point. From what I know, Saquon shouldn't be coming back. So
Saquon is definitely not coming back.
So I don't know why his projections say 1 point, but it's definitely going to be higher than that. The return of Alvin Kamara should be a big one for FTW, and to be honest with you, Gronk probably not playing, Devontae Parker being questionable, the ineptitude of the Chicago Bears offense, all of those things point to me that I honestly think this might be a blowout victory for FTW this week. I'm taking FTW.
Understood. Last but not least, we have Indie Animals versus Corey Championship Team. Indie Animals, who is in much need of a win, may have just been given a layup this week. Like we said, Corey's Championship Team is dealing with lots of injuries, but he has the equalizer of Lamar Jackson, and we'll see what that turns into this week. Corey's Championship Team is going with Miles Sanders here. I don't like it. So, simply because not only can't he catch, but the Eagles refuse to run the ball. So it's not going to be a good situation. And even though Indie Animals has Stephon Diggs on bye, Keenan Allen on bye, and Claypool on bye,
Corey's out.
Corey's Championship Team is not able to take advantage of it because Justin Jefferson is on bye, Christian McCaffrey is on IR, Kareem Hunt is on IR. So he's not able to take advantage of this sweet bye magic that he has because of what's going on his side of the field. So with that being said, and the fact that even though you have the equalizer of Lamar Jackson, unless he has a performance like he did in week 5 again, Indie Animals has Derrick Henry, who is going up against arguably the worst defense in the league this year. So
it's going to be a long day. It's going to be a long day for Kansas City is what I'm going to tell you. I'm honest. Honestly, I foresee another 30-point performance for Derrick Henry. on the season right now, he has a 47-point performance, a 25-point performance, a 31-point performance, and a 35-point performance. He's the 31 and 35 are just over the last 2 weeks, Mark. I don't see it dropping below 30 this week. So I don't know how he plans on neutralizing that on the other side. I don't think he has anything. You got AJ Dillon, who is a secondary back. And at this point, you're just hoping that Julio Jones is healthy. I don't know, man. Miles Sanders ain't it. Like, this is looking like it's shaping up to be a blowout. I'm gonna go blowout victory here. Indianapolis. I think this is gonna be an ugly situation.
Yeah, I really don't see how this could get any better for Corey championship team this week, which is unfortunate. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, ends our pre-game matchup analysis where we make our picks for this week. So now is the coveted time where I let Shawn take over and do his thing, because this power rankings is performed and put together by him. So I hope you guys appreciate it, because it's a lot of hard work that goes into it. So now we're going to go over the power rankings and see where teams stand as far as Shawn Williams is concerned.
Oh, all right. Week 6 power rankings. It looks like there has been a change in the guard. I Choose Violence has moved up to number 1, even in a loss. He seems to be top 5 in every category except for 1, which is strength of schedule. So even with his weak strength of schedule, he seems to be doing everything else correct, outscoring his projected points, putting up a bunch of points. He is second in the league in scoring. I Choose Violence seems to be in the number 1 spot. We don't know how long that's going to last, but he has moved up 1 spot since last week. Indianapolis has moved up 2 spots. Didn't look like he doesn't seem to be down for long. He had a little drop last week, but he's back. He's in second place. FTW has moved up 2 spots. He's in third place. The difference between the first, second, and third place power rankings, a very small margin. Basically, this week, after this week, we'll probably see another shuffle. A bigger gap between 3 and 4. At 4, you have my team, Lancelot, moving up 2 spots in a loss as well. Tough loss, but apparently there was a lot of people getting blown out this week. So my loss wasn't as tough as others. So that may have helped my situation. Tobias drops 4 spots from the number 1 spot from last week. And that 111 point total might have something to do with it. It just maybe have something to do with it. And the fact that you lost, even though your opponent only scored 112, might also have something to do with it. We have Corey's championship team dropping 4 spots to spot 7. His top 3 run was very short-lived here. I didn't think he belonged up there anyway, but he did have a monster game last week, and that's what launched him into the third spot, plus his standings. Now that everybody's 3 and 3, the standing shift and the point totals have dropped people tremendously. All right, let's scroll down. This looks like spot 8. We have I Love Cam Newton, who is up 1 spot. He did have a large victory. And he did improve to 3 and 3 here. He seems to be on a little bit of a run. He's right around where he should be, Mark. He's been kind of floating around here this whole time. I do believe he's one of the better teams. I think he's going to move up in the power rankings if he continues to win. Reese's Buttercups. Look at that. Drops a spot, Mark, to 9. And somehow she's number 2 in the standings. Very fortunate, as I said before. So it seems as though the power rankings are speaking the truth here, Mark. and the standings are lying. But that's fine, Reese's Buttercups. The standings will eventually put you where you belong. I don't know. That sounds like hate, but I'm going with it. All right. Raw Dog Supreme up 2 spots from last week. Finally, Mark, round of applause for Raw Dog Supreme. Finally has dug himself out of the grave of 12 on the power rankings, and he jumps up to spot 10. You know, he seems to be improving week by week. He got another dub, and I'm glad to see him out of that hole. Now I don't have to explain why he's last every week, Mark. We Not from 750. Also, he's sitting at 11. He has not moved, unfortunately for him. But I just have to point out, there's somebody sitting at 12, Mark, and it's a very interesting thing, dog. You know, Ricky, your player got hurt. Haha. Once again, the man who is watching everybody's players fall to injury while his players stay healthy all year. Well, maybe not all of them, but he seemed to have been one of the most healthy teams in the league. And somehow he's at the bottom spot with the lowest point totals. He's just sitting there at the bottom, probably where he belongs. I know Ricky probably ain't gonna like that, but who gives a fuck? Look, I need you to be better than Rodney, Ricky. Just be better than Rodney, okay? Yeah. That's it. That's all I'm asking you to do. You've been better than him all year. You at the bottom spot now. I'm gonna need you to move up some, but I'm gonna need you to do that in a loss. I don't need you beating me this week. So there you have it, folks. There's been a big shakeup in the power rankings, although everybody is seemingly tied at 3-3. The power rankings here should give some type of discernment between who the real players are and who the pretenders are.
I will like to point out that this for 2 teams here, despite winning, they actually went down in their standings. Actually, for 2 teams here, despite winning, they went down in their standings. And that's largely because of their point totals. So it is.
Yeah, point totals and strength of schedule, Mark. They keep playing these teams that are scoring nothing and they're winning these games. And it's hurting their standing, it's hurting their positioning in the power rankings.
Yeah. It's unfortunate for them. And we will see how long I'm able to hold on to that top spot. At the end of the day, the power ranking, being the top spot of the power rankings, is just a nice little caveat. It doesn't matter. It matters if you end up on top in the end, and that is the goal. So always keep in mind what the goal actually is. So with that,
get that chicken.
Yeah, with that being said, I wish all you guys luck. I just don't wish the person luck that is playing me. And so we're going to just have to close this one out, fellas. And I'm going to have to go out there and get this W. I need it. And this is going to be a tough matchup for me this week. And they always say, it's weird because they say, oh, my strength of schedule is bad, except for I keep going up against tough opponents. Like, how is my strength of schedule bad when I go up against tough opponents? I can't help it that I blow them out when I play them. They're tough. But they are tough. Like, Indianimals, when I beat him, was number 1. He was number 1 in the league. But I blew him out. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's not my issue.
Look, man, if you beating on a team that scores 80 points, you know what I'm saying? I'm not going to name names, but if you're beating a team that scored 80 points, you're not getting no credit for that. Well, I know that wasn't you, Mark, but I'm just saying. For an example.
Yeah, I feel you. Except for when I'm beating on it. But if I'm beating on the number 1 team and I have the highest point total of the week, that means nobody would have beat me. It doesn't matter what my schedule was because nobody would have beat me anyway.
Look, I will point out, Mark, that you did shoot up to second place at some point because you were doing those things. So don't poo-poo the power rankings. You was up there. You was enjoying it. You in first place right now. They giving you credit. I don't know what else you want, Mark. You in first. How much more do you want?
I'm not poo-pooing nothing. I'm just having a conversation.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? You're having a wild conversation for somebody who's first in the power rankings. That's all I'm saying.
Listen, man, I'm looking forward to this week. It's going to be another great week of football. Hopefully the fantasy gods can make up for last week causing me to lose on my birthday. Maybe you could give me a belated birthday present and actually have me win. That'd be nice. So, how about you, Shawn? Got anything to say before we get out of here?
Look, I'm not losing to Ricky this week. That's what I'm saying. Not gonna happen. Try again, motherfucker.
Ooh, try again, motherfucker. All right. So, that being said, we are on our way out the door. Thank you for joining us. Link, like, subscribe, comment, talk that shit. I don't give a fuck.